ACCA, the world's most forward-thinking professional accountancy body.
Hi, I'm Neil Johnson, ACCA Careers Editor, and I'll be hosting this new regular series for the ACCA, Careerwise. I'll be getting top tips from recruiters and other professionals and real-world advice for successfully launching your career. Today, in the first of 2 episodes, we're going to be looking at getting your foot in the door. I'm talking to recruiters Karen Young and Gareth Cowan about some of the pitfalls and perils and how to make starting your career seem less daunting. Before we get into the questions, Karen, would you like to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much for having me today. I'm Karen Young. I'm a director at Hays and I lead our accountancy and finance recruitment practice in the UK and Ireland. So that's a team of about 300 finance recruitment consultants who all specialise in finance, as I have done for a career that spans nearly 29 years. So I've spoken to a lot of finance employers and helped a lot of people along the way. And I'm hoping that what we chat about today will be useful.
And over to you, Gareth.
Hi, thanks, Neil. My name's Gareth. I'm a co-founder of a business called Trace. We are a specialist accountancy and finance recruiter based in London, and we recruit positions at all levels for accountants in lots of different sectors, mainly in London. I started the business about 13 years ago, and like Karen, have probably 25 years experience in placing accountants at lots of different levels into lots of different industries in the UK.
Wow, that's nearly half a century of experience between us, eh?
I might have lied about that. I've probably got a bit more.
Well, it's perfect because it makes you both highly qualified to answer or to tackle the questions that we're going to talk about today in our first podcast, which is looking quite broadly at getting your foot in the door as an early career professional. So with that in mind, I think the first question I'd like to ask is, what can you do to make it all seem less daunting? It is daunting, no matter what profession you're in. How can you just make it seem a little less like jumping off a cliff?
So, yeah, getting your foot in the door, without a lot of experience, yeah, sure, it is daunting. And I think I always advocate to people to think positively about it as much as possible. An employer they're really looking for a reason to hire you. They're not looking at a CV or going through an interview process thinking I'm looking for a reason not to hire this person. So don't worry about not having enough experience and just try and really focus on your strengths, what you bring to the table in terms of your behaviours, positive and proactive attitude, your unique perspective, because you are what makes you, your potential and your passion for what you're deciding to go on and do. That would be my initial starter on that.
Great advice. Thanks, Karen. And where would you start, Gareth?
I guess if it was me as well, I'd just say seek advice from people. You're bound to have somebody within your family or your network that's related to finance or has worked in finance or knows somebody that's in finance. So I would probably start there and try and take some advice. And as well, speak to a good recruiter. Karen or someone in our teams will absolutely want to give people some reassurance and advice and pointers. And I think just speaking to people will just take away the pain a little bit. If you are daunted by it, think about why you're doing it. Get excited. You look ahead. I'm potentially going to be doing another set of exams, It's going to take a certain amount of time to get through that. But so look ahead and go, right, where could this get me? Get excited about your career and why you're doing it. And then I think the bits that make it more daunting might fade a little bit.
That's great advice, Gareth. And I think the other thing around that, speaking to people, definitely, first starting point. But, just also think about how you can keep yourself informed about the industry that you're choosing to go into, staying up to date with news, staying up to date with all of the knowledge that's there with the ACCA, trends, terminology, journals and white papers, just signing up for industry events and showing that real kind of genuine interest in the accountancy and finance sector. You're in control, as Gareth just said, you're taking steps, and it should all help you to feel that little bit less nervous and a little bit less daunted.
Events is a good one because you'll meet like-minded people, and there's not a shortage of events, are there? No matter where in the world you are. So you'll definitely be able to seek out people to get that advice. So I think that's a good one.
So what exactly is it that employers are looking for in their junior finance professionals? What's the secret sauce, would you say, Gareth?
Putting aside the sort of nuances of each job, because every employer probably is looking for a different thing, because all jobs are different. But I think if you're looking at behaviours, I think they're pretty standard of what people are looking for. Having a good attitude, being positive, being keen. I always say be nosy, be inquisitive, be reliable, ask to do more. It's just people having the right attitude. And I think if you can start showing people that you've got that attitude in an interview, in an email, in every interaction you have, because first impressions do last. So I think number one would be attitude for me.
I suppose I sort of talk about it as employers being drawn to people who show that enthusiasm to learn and progress. That is attitude at the end of the day. I think that's really important. And if we just think for a moment about external sort of factors, here in the market today, where we've been in a skills short market in terms of finance recruitment. There haven't been enough of the right people with the right skills to fill the jobs. And of course, the world is changing. So when we did our salary guide research at the end of last year, it was late 70%, 77% of finance employers believing that attitude, that aptitude, that willingness to learn was of greater importance than a person's existing skills. And, why is that the case now more so than maybe it was 10, 15, certainly 20 years ago, where I think it was more prescriptive? It's because jobs are changing, right? What we're recruiting for, there's still some roles that are similar to what they were even when I started, but how much has the content of jobs changed and the skills that are needed today, and trying to future-proof the skills that might be needed in the jobs of tomorrow? I think that's why employers are much more open to looking at attitude and hiring for potential than they ever have been before, which is hopefully music to people's ears.
Yeah, that is interesting. That does lead on to one of the questions on to ask around skills. If you're early career professional, you might not have any or a lot of work experience, or you have just recently studied, and so your focus will probably be on the technical skills that you've done, and you've put all that effort into gaining the ACCA qualification. It's very likely that you'll be so proud of those skills that you've gained. And then you go to job adverts and they're asking for these soft skills, extra skills, communication skills. How valuable is it to have a combination of the both? How can you gain the soft skills you might not have yet?
It's easy to sort of get bogged down by, okay, I've got to have this outward personality to be able to get my foot through the door. Yes, that's true for some, but the people that are less confident and find communication harder, there are roles for you as well. And you will learn those skills later on. Likewise, give myself as an example, I find communication quite easy, but I would find the technical elements of an accounting role extremely challenging. So they're the bits that I would have to gain more experience in. So I think even if you're weighted one way or the other, you'll have an opportunity to learn the skills that you kind of need to. If you want to try and improve those things, put yourselves in positions where you can improve those things. Talk to people more, ask more questions, get comfortable with people asking you questions, because you're going to be going to interviews. So you need to be comfortable about talking about yourself, because a lot of people aren't. So I would just try and put yourself in positions where you can pick up those skills. And even if it's just a little bit, it will help you when it comes to that interview or that letter you're writing or whatever it might be.
I think sometimes people find it hard to think about where they are actually developing, if we call them soft skills, behaviours, competencies. Certainly in my experience, things, of course, communication and interpersonal skills just comes up almost in every job and person specification, if I'm honest. But problem solving, ability to learn and upskill is vital, and the ability to adopt change, those type of things, and coordinating well with others. But what things might you do that sit outside of the world of work? You might be into drama and theatre, and so if it's a job that's going to require a lot of presentations, you're going to have some great things to talk about on your CV in an interview for that, for example. Just all of those extracurricular things. Sound old-fashioned by saying this, but sitting down always with that piece of paper and thinking, what do I do, and what are the things that can transfer across? And I'm sure that all of you would find a number of things to go into that soft skills space.
Yeah, they're really good points, Karen. I also think about travelling and the experiences that people have while they're travelling, how that can feed into their story, the experiences they have, the skills they learned. But are there other ways that people can gain experience and talk about it, Gareth?
I think people don't talk about their school and if you've gone to college or you've gone to university or all that sort of stuff. The amount of things that you would have picked up and learned at school, because that's what school is all about, isn't it? It's trying to teach you things. So I think if you don't have practical work experience, just think about the things that you've done in those environments that will benefit you in what you're looking to do now. Don't ignore your education, and no matter how much you've had, because that's probably a key strength for people that are starting out.
I have a top tip on this in terms of when you're looking at job and person specification, and you're looking at a list of things, particularly on the person specification, around the skills and competencies and knowledge and experience that's required, and taking whatever it works for you. It can be a piece of paper, it can be an Excel spreadsheet, whatever, and taking, you know, what's there on the specification and kind of putting it into headers. And then I know people are assessed differently when it comes to interview, and it depends on the employer, and obviously assessment techniques vary. But if you take the classic kind of competency-based interview and STAR technique and simplify that, even just say, what are my stories? What are the things in my life that have happened where I've played a part, where I've done something, and how does that demonstrate that competency or behaviour that they're looking for? Oh, okay, right, yeah, I lost my dissertation notes at university with about 3 days to go. How did I solve the problem? You know, those type of things, and just working through it so that then, particularly at an interview, when you're asked to demonstrate some of the things, you've already done the homework. It's in your head, you know your stories, and you're able to just reference it really quickly. So that's also a bit of planning and thinking ahead as well, of course.
Sound advice. A big thank you to Gareth and Karen. Join me again next time when, amongst other things, we'll find out about their CV pet peeves. Thanks for listening. For more career advice, check out the ACCA Careers website and the Student Accountant app. And if you have something in particular you'd like me to cover in the series, get in touch at studentaccountant@accaglobal.com.
This podcast was brought to you by ACCA. Find out how we think ahead at accaglobal.com.